What would you, and just, over the time that you've been in lifting and stuff like that, lifting has changed, the gear's gotten crazy in some aspects, and that's something that you haven't really, gone towards, and there are some things with different federations and just more and more federations. And what would you maybe like to see change in powerlifting from the past or the future, and what might, in your mind, make it a little bit better?
Well, I mean, I would just like to see a little bit more unity. I mean, whether it be, you got so many federations where you can't even break down it in the categories of raw, multiply, and single ply. You can't even divide it up 3 ways and have the best lifters in each of those categories on the same platform anymore. It's so divided. It would be, more things like the raw unity, or is there any reason for, well, like the Mountaineer Cup was for a few years. I mean, it gave everyone a reason to be in the same house on the same platform, and multi-ply guys were willing to go single ply, vice versa. I don't have any problems against multiply. It's just, for me, the training would be so different. I can kind of switch from raw to single ply and strongman. If I were to just try to go to multiply right now, it would just, I would definitely be spread thin for sure. So
That's a lot of time. It seems like you probably have about 15 or 20 people probably having to try to spot you or something.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, if I focus on a raw contest, I don't need, if I have one guy around to train with, I'm good, on a bench day, so I don't have to worry if my schedule is messed up and I have to train late, or,
And Brian does have a little girl now, so that's something that takes up a lot of time and is big in his heart.
Yes, for sure.
So, how old's Caitlin now?
She'll be 5 in December.
Oh, that's awesome. So
She started preschool, so
that must be exciting.
she'll be smarter than me next year.
Which lift do you like the most, Brian? If you got one that you do like the most?
They're all love and hate. They switch around. Of course, I always said my favorite lift is the total. To me, that's the goal, and whatever. So, and with that in mind, I just try to milk the most out of each lift I can. It seems like off the bat, I was a naturally well presser. I guess my structure. I always like to think that my arms aren't too short to bench, or aren't too long to bench, and they're not too short to deadlift. So kind of have like an average, I guess, length arm and a barrel chest. Kind of helps me press. But I'm thankful that they're no shorter than they are. I wouldn't, ever hit a deadlift.
Oh man, Brian, what really means more to you? Do you think? And I have people ask me this question, and I've had my opinion and stuff like that. But I just wanted to see what you thought. What's more, drives you more, or inspires you more? Is it the world records, or is it world championships, or is it just just trying to historically hit something that nobody's done before, or what's your biggest kind of thing that drives you?
I would say the latter two. I mean, I loved winning the world titles that I won, but year by year, people lose track of which world champion won which year, and it's so easy to forget who did what. But I mean, once you set a new groundbreaking barrier, those are things that are remembered for 30 and 40 years, so, or longer. I mean, so I guess the historical aspect, anything you can do to kind of contribute to the history of the sport, something that's never been done before, something that really pushes the limits of who we are as humans. I mean, that's what motivates me. You ask the question, how strong can we get? How, if I reach my genetic threshold, am I going to, where does that put me compared to everyone else, and things like that. So I would have to say the records and the historical breakthrough aspects would be more important to me overall than any title.
Okay.
So.
And I know everybody has their differing opinions about that, but I think that's something that when you get to a point where Brian's at, it means a
And
lot
that
to
might
you.
have been different before I won the world title too. So I mean, it definitely changes, or it's changed for me, because I can only look back and tell you, what what the moments are that I, cherish the most in my, history of competing. So.
So just around the horizon, first thing, we're going to look for Brian at the Night of the Living Dead, and there's going to be some freaks up there, and it's going to be a show like really hadn't seen before. And Brian's been kind of taking a little siesta here for a little while with just personal stuff and getting back into something that really gets him motivated and stuff like that. Brian, do you see yourself doing more? I know you've done several strongman contests. Is that something too that you're striving towards or thinking about? Or
Yeah, I mean, especially the Arnold Strongman thing, it's everything's so heavy and difficult. It's just a great contest. Every year, every event is pretty much a world record that's never been done before in strongman. So, I mean, it's just crazy to think about, and it's it's something motivating to train for. And there have been times where it could cause injury, but there's also times where if I didn't go through that type of training, my power lifts wouldn't even be where they're at now either. So it kind of goes both ways. So sure, definitely, it's something that's in the back of my mind in the future to return there and kind of redeem myself, or at least do better than I did the last showing. So.
Well, I know that Brian and a lot of people, don't really know this, but when you go into a different realm and stuff like that, and you change your training and stuff like that, you're more apt to injury, and it's just something that we all have to live with in lifting or strongman or anything like that. And I know, Brian, there's been a few times that you've kind of got your bicep and just a few other things. And is that something that you think about when you switch over to that stuff, or is it just kind of put it back in your mind?
More easily, it's just been a wake-up call. It's just, it reminds you got to take care of that stuff. I mean, if something gets injured on a regular basis, it's weak. So, especially if you're, I mean, wouldn't say never, but, if you're deadlifting heavy on a regular basis and you'll have back soreness, but you're not injured, I mean, your back is strong enough to handle your workload. So, it's just all about your conditioning your body to handle what you're doing on a regular basis. So definitely, when you get an injury like that, you learn a lot as well, as long as it's not too severe.
I know a lot of people ask me, and probably are interested in stuff like that, and I've seen it for myself. But I know your diet, you're just trying to get as many calories as you can get, and some people, they can really focus on doing this or doing that and trying to lose weight. But Brian, I know it's a different issue for him. Some of us have been there, some of us have not, about trying to gain weight, and sometimes that's not the funnest thing. But how do you kind of go about kind of attacking that sometimes, Brian?
I feel like I have to attack something to eat it sometimes. Basically, I have a seafood diet. I see it and I eat it.
Okay.
But I try to get as much protein as I can. I mean, at least my body weight in pounds and protein, maybe 1.5 times that every day. I don't count carbs, but I mean, every meal I eat probably has at least 200 carbs in it, I would say at least.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like, for some reason, it seems like the last few years, my metabolism has gotten more sped up. But I mean,
don't we wish we all had that problem?
but I mean, I would say it has to do with more than a lot of it was, I guess, training frequency, and just the more, I guess, mass you gain, eventually you burn more during the training session. So.
All right. Well, we just spent a few minutes with Brian Siders today, and really enjoyed, having him come down here and be around us and be at the gym here, and just hopefully, Brian stays healthy and goes forward, and we'll see some bigger things and better things as he goes, whichever, aspect of lifting or strongman that he decides to do. Brian, it's good having you today.
Thank you, Sherman.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.